Hey YouTube, this is Corey from Aquarium Co-op, and today I'm here with Jay and Carol Geiler. We're going to check out their fish room. They do lots of cichlids, lots of live bears, and we're going to get started. So yeah, this is the full room tour. It's only 300 square feet, they say. This whole wall here is 40 breeders. And, you know, we just kind of pan down here. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that what it is? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8. So it's 8
rows of 8.
Yeah, so 24, 40 breeders on one wall, and you got all the 10s in the back there. And then on the other wall, you've got all the 20s, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 again. So you've got 24 of those. You've got a couple of fans up top there, a couple of overhead lights. They did really cool tables through the center. They've got 55s down low, but then they've got, you know, the platforms to work and do stuff up here, which worked out awesome. They've got, you know, a heater. They've got, you know, more shelves for fish food.
This is the air exchanger.
Yeah, they have an air exchanger they put in, so that
pulls the humidity out and rewarms it, brings it back into the room, so it's not bringing in cold air.
Yep, they're running air through the top. You know, attached to ceiling PVC linear air piston pump for all the air. They've got the DIY tops with kind of greenhouse siding, if you will. And then they use the, as I call them, chicken brooder lights. And they're just stuck up above there. It shines down, and you know, that's one of the things most impressive is it's lighting their tanks really well. I like the way they mounted it, and it's super cheap. You know, this fish room's just put together well altogether. So.
Well, obviously this is a Pistogramma cockatoides, and this is one of our breeder orange flash, and I've got several females in there with them. You know, one of the interesting things about the cockatoides is they have to like each other.
Sure.
And so we've got several young girls in there, and I've got another young male in there to kind of, you can see a small one in here, to try to keep him busy, try to keep his interest up. But anyway, he's one of our, what I consider one of my select orange flash.
And how do you tell the males from the females when they're young like that?
Well, you can kind of start to see the coloration on them here, and then of course your females turn a nice bright yellow, and it can be tough because they all look the same when they're younger, and I have a couple tanks of younger ones.
Sure.
So you can get some that you think are a female that end up showing color. But,
okay, probably what they call, you know, a sneaker male.
Right, the sneaker male. But there's a little guy back there that I probably thought was a female at one point. And you can see the flames on him. He's going to end up being a double or triple red.
So does that...
He's pretty small in there.
If I'm right, don't those two lines come out of the same fish? Like they'll throw...
That is correct.
Okay, yeah.
That is correct. Yes, yes. And some breeders will work with lines for a period of time where they can guarantee you that you're going to get an orange flash or whether or not you're going to get a red.
Sure.
I don't have it that technical because people like all different varieties. And when we get to the other tanks, you'll see that we've got a variety of both.
So down here in a 10, looks like they've got a bunch of fry from
Those are unsexable from June of this year.
Okay, so from June.
Yeah, they're a little slow growing, you know.
And then we've got kind of some medium guys over here in a 20.
Those are coming into they're starting to color up. You can still have some sneaker males, but when you really look at them, you can see, like, for example, this guy here's got some really nice flames growing in on him.
Yep. And then up above.
And then up here, these are all sexable.
Okay.
And again, you can see there's a variety between the orange flash and and the doubles and triples. They're all different. You never know what you're going to get.
Grandpa is super
There's
red.
Grandpa and Grandma. He's big. They don't spawn anymore. They just kind of hang out together.
They just live and look awesome.
They're in retirement. Yep. They live in retirement. Those are the Maliwe. These are pretty. It's a Maliwe pair.
And these are the lobies.
And those are the lobies. And I keep them next to each other so that they can see each other to kind of keep their pair bonding up.
Okay,
if that makes any sense.
No, yeah.
That way he doesn't turn his aggression on to the female or vice versa. They
no, that's kind of a smart move, actually.
More concerned with each other. And then if I do have any problems, I can put a paper divider in between the two if they're having too many problems with that.
And what do we have down here?
And then those are the they're commonly called the checkerboard cichlids. So we acquired those not too long ago, so we haven't had any spawns on them yet. But
growing them out.
Very cool.
And then what do we got here? I know this is a
And those are the
Lybear.
Brachyraphis rosenii.
Okay.
And we started with a reverse trio, and we've had a couple of spawns. They're kind of up in and in the plants. Really cool, a very active fish, but really neat. Nice colors. I know
Yeah.
people say you're supposed to have a lot of plants in there, and they look great if you do that. But we've not had any problems with them this way either.
Yeah, I mean they look great for.
That is the Signatus,
Okay.
one of the Shelley. It's just fry. We started off with the adult pair in there, allowed them to spawn. So, and then once these guys got big enough that they were on their own, we pulled the pair out and then just left the fry
Yep,
in there.
and these guys
So-
are a shell dweller, and it looks like you're using the PVC to give
Right,
them some
Jay
hides.
likes the PVC. It's easier to clean.
Yep.
It's also easier to get. If you've ever tried to get the fish out of the shell, it's impossible.
It's my worst nightmare, actually.
It's putting them
at
on
the
top
store.
of a cup and waiting till they decide to come out. And this way you can just twist the PVC
Sure.
off and then,
Let's see, so we got adults right here.
right?
Oh yeah.
So that's a female of the Signatus, and then there's a male back there. And they've kind of picked up their territories. We do the same thing with the PVC in there, so.
Yeah, and the females get that silver belly or patch or whatnot. It's almost like Crebensis in the fact that they get that. Instead of purple, it's kind of that silver, but makes
And they
it
get
pretty
a kind of a blue eye, which is kind of hard
Oh,
to
okay.
see, but it's well, both of them have a little
Sure,
bit of
sure.
a blue tint. And then of course the males have the dark on the fins. So there's a couple more pairs in there, but they're kind of, there's a pair in the middle that they like their
Oh,
spot
yeah,
there
yep.
in the plants, kind of hiding. So.
So here's a rack of 10-gallon tanks. Looks like we've got 18 of them or so. Is that right? Yeah, 3, 6. Yep, 18. And here on the bottom
Down
here.
the bottom's the dwarf blue panda guppies.
Yep,
And then Cracodon lateralis, rainbow hooded,
Those
care
are awesome.
species. 'Cause we've
Yeah.
got quite a few care species in
they're
here.
thriving.
The next one to the left is Cryptoheros myrnae fry. Those are just a couple months old, and they're in there with some long fin plecos.
Sure.
And then those are African cichlid Victoria, yellow belly. Albert's the common name on those, so it's some
Okay.
fry there.
Yep.
Then those are the unsexable pistos.
Yep.
And then the far left is the Pelvochromis maliwe fry
Oh, okay.
from the adult pair that you caught up there in the 10 gallon.
Yep.
So you can see a lot of the smaller species. We do have
Sure.
some spawning pairs in here.
Looks like.
Those are the gold ocellatus,
Okay. Yeah.
Leprolagus, the Shelleys. Those are a batch of fry.
And here.
And those are just the lemon yellow guppies along
Yep.
with the Cracodon. Is it pronounced audax?
Yeah, I think it's audax,
Which is
like- Yeah.
the black print scudiad.
Yeah. Well, living with guppies, that's what blew my mind when I walked in the room. Is I just thought they would have eaten them up, but apparently
And
not.
we had a big patch of the guppy grass in there, which will prevent that. We pulled it out because, as everyone knows, we got some frog bit in there, and so we've been
Sure.
trying to purge the frog bit, and then we'll put the guppy grass back in there.
All right. So these are the
So-
breeder gold ocellatus in the 20 here. Ooh, he's displaying. Nice.
Very pretty, yeah. You can't really tell males from females other than size and behavior. They're
Sure.
other than that, they're identical.
More of the PVC ends.
Right.
Works awesome.
Makes it again easy for collecting the fry.
Mm-hmm.
And like all Shelleys, they will attack you when you stick your hand in there. They're very
Sure.
very territorial for little ones.
And then
But
what do
very
we got up here in this 20?
These are, and I use a lot of common names, I guess,
sure.
but this is the Southern Egyptian mouth broader. This is the fry colony. So you can see we've got a couple different generations in there. And then the adult colonies we keep over
Okay.
in a 40-gallon.
Yep, we'll
so
be taking
not
a
a
look
lot
at
of
those.
not a lot of color in those, but
Not in the fry.
not in the fry.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what do we got here? Looks like.
And then these are the sunspot, the Icola.
Okay. Brevis, is that right?
The Brevis Icola sunspot, right? We got those not too long ago, so they've just kind of been in here growing. We haven't really
Sure.
been concerned about any spawning yet. I think they're getting close to it. We'll probably have to, may have to upgrade them to a slightly larger tank.
Yeah,
That's
they're
the one
20
thing,
now.
you know, with the with the Shelleys, you want to not have too many, even though you think it's a small fish, because they have such a big attitude.
Sure.
And they are territorial. You want to be careful about how many you put in this
We've got a
space.
little fry tank here, it looks like, with some ruby green
Yeah,
Victorians.
right.
Yeah, and then down low here.
That
a
is
rare
the
fish.
Genesea lineata, which is the one-sided live bearer.
Mm-hmm.
And again, more of, this is the pogo stemon.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
In a pot there.
Yep. And just to kind of keep, because they'll also eat their own fry.
Sure.
So we try to keep that up. But if we notice pregnant females, we'll move them into one of these fry savers.
Okay.
Until she has her fry.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll put her back with the colony.
All right. What else we got over here?
Let's see,
What are
you wanna
these
stick it all in
guys?
the middle
Sure.
row?
Sure.
These are Therichthys gold mixed deco, firemouth.
Okay, because I was like, these are got to be a firemouth species. Yep.
Yep, they're the golds. They're young, they're only fry. We don't
Sure,
have the adults here in the room.
Okay.
So they're just kind of growing out. They're wanting to know where food is.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the volcano gutiid,
Okay.
and we have that whole colony in there. Different,
Another
fried,
Karis fish.
fried Metacaris fish. Yeah.
Yeah, these are what, Z tequila? Is that what they?
Yes, Subaneticus
Yeah.
tequila.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yes,
can-
yes, yes, yes.
And then
If you want
these-
scientific names, let me know.
Well, it's no. I just trying to remember off the
This
top
is
of
a
my head.
different age bracket of ruby green. I mean,
Oh,
you
okay,
saw
so
down
yeah.
here. These were, I mean,
Yeah,
these
we
were
got some babies
these
right
were
here.
14 November. So I
Uh-huh.
mean, these are just a little over a month old.
Sure.
And then of course this is, gosh, what are these? Probably somewhere around the
3 months.
three,
They're
4
3 months
month
old.
mark.
Uh huh. Yeah, just starting. Yeah, there's a real nice male
There's
there.
a nice male, but certainly not
Uh-huh.
adults.
Oh no, not adults. He's just covering. They're not adults at all.
Sure.
And then
Let's see what we got over
that's
here.
also fry tank, Pundamilia nairi. It's
Okay, yep.
or
I think these guys are Karis fish too. Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
And then these are Rudy Island.
Nice. All right. What else we got?
And another
Four spots.
Oh yeah, the
another
four
Karis
spots.
fish
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of small ones in there. 4-spot live bear.
So we got green shrimp in there.
Yeah, just
spot
a
live
wild
bears.
type
Yeah.
shrimp. And
Uh-huh.
which is nice because this is a nice little nano setup where you can
Sure.
see we've got the plecos, the val, the shrimp, and the 4 spots, and they all live really well together. So
Yeah. Here,
knife,
yeah, the knife library.
tortoise, yeah.
This is one of my favorite fish that I've yet to keep at home.
They're really actually kind of neat.
They are neat.
They are neat. You know, you think, but they've got a nice yellow color,
They're about 4 months old.
and
Well, I
They're
almost
really
think they're like
engaging.
they almost school a little bit. They got the blue eye
And they
and
do
they're
have the
live
blue
bear on
eye.
top of all. So
Yep. And they're too young to spawn, but they've been
sure.
been really neat. And then, like the rest of fish, as soon as we turn off the filters, they come right up top. They eat really readily, so it's nice.
What do we got up here?
These are tiger limias.
Okay, that's not one you see every day either.
Yeah.
These kind of get, as they get bigger, is it more hunched to the back? Is that
You know, I don't know. I've not really
okay? So
noticed.
I think I've seen some of these in
Okay.
Greg Sage's fish room, and when they get to be grandpa age,
Sure,
I swear they're
yeah.
like a crescent moon shape.
Gotcha.
They're so.
This
flat
one's
back.
really pretty. I don't know if you can see all the black on the top, the dorsal fin here. It's
Uh-huh.
really, that one looks really nice. And then of course there's fry up in there.
Oh yeah.
Try to keep, because again, like a lot of live bears, they'll eat their fry if
Mm-hmm.
you don't. And then these are, we started off with a lot of the red velvet swords, and
Mm-hmm.
then we've slowly worked to a point where we're trying to get them darker and darker.
Yeah.
So this is what,
This is where we're at now. With
this is where we're at
They're,
with them
they're
now.
mighty dark red. I mean, coming through on the camera, people should see that for sure.
I'm
so-
trying to get that little bit of white out of their eye on the little half moon on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get that all the way red too.
So these are unsexable right now. They're young, but these are some
Sure.
of the darker ones that we've hung on to ours. And then these are the Alcalapia alcalicus. They're the lake natron, and if you're familiar with that, that's the really, really super salty, high alkaline lake and high heat, which is in Africa. The temperatures on it get above 90 degrees. Is it highly alkaline or highly acidic?
It's hard.
Yeah, very
okay.
hard. Yeah.
Very hard.
And so anyway, really cool fish. They do need some extra heat and some extra buffering in order to thrive. But
And you guys are keeping what, like 90 or something like that almost?
no, it was like 89.5 when we
They
checked this morning.
exist like everybody else at a lower temperature,
Sure, you
but they
could-
don't thrive.
Sure.
You could keep them, but if you want to do spawning and get
Colors and-
your best out of them,
Keep 'em
you
hot.
can do that.
Do you have to feed them extra since they're so hot or anything, or?
You know, when we first got them, we were feeding them twice a day.
Uh-huh.
If you can do that, it's better to feed them a little bit twice a day.
Sure.
But they seem to be doing okay.
They do good.
They're, if you've ever, in this world, I call them the chipmunks
Uh-huh.
of the fish world too, because they will pack everything in their mouth that they can, and they
Oh.
all look like they're holding.
Right.
And so they'll just pack it in there.
Hmm.
And so if you do have other fish that are in the tank with it, you have to be really careful about that, because they'll stick 6, 8, 10 pellets in their mouth,
I see.
and anything else that's in there with them won't have a chance. So that's
Mhm.
probably the other thing. They're really cool fish. The adult colony of the Pseudotropheus pollet. There's the big dominant male back there in the back. We've got some Rio Otoposaurs in there.
Yeah.
These guys are super shy, super darty. Once we put the Otopas in there, they actually started coming out and behaving more like normal fish. So working with dithers is always
Uh-huh.
a good thing if you find that you're having, issues with some fish being shy or darty or having problems with them. So this is the adult colony of the Lamprologus thestapersii, or what we just call them the pearly ocellatus. Super
Uh-huh.
pretty. Again, same kind of things. The females are the ones guarding in front of the PVCs there. We've got female here, female in the middle, female in the corner, and then the males run around and do their thing, and then the females will guard the fry. And once we see them, then we'll pull them out of those PVCs and put them in one of our fry savers, because they'll get picked off, unfortunately.
Sure.
If we want to hang on to them. And then this is the Cyprichromis leptosoma. It's the Karingi Island. We've got the yellowtail male has acquired his home here
Ah.
underneath the log. He's kind of tough to see. There you go, you got him. And we also have a blue-tail male in there. And then the only other thing we
Because they
have...
come in both the blue and the yellow
Yep.
varieties. So
Right.
some people like the blue, some like the yellow. So
And some of those are younger, that's why they're smaller.
They're fry.
We've been
Sure.
working on getting the colony up to size.
Yep.
And then you'll also notice there is a breeding pair in here of a Xenotilapia calesa, which is another tang species, so they're cohabitating, since
Sure.
they're both tang species. There's the male and female there in the corner, you've got them. And then we've got fry and a grow out, so. This is the adult colony of the Pundamilia, the Rudy Island that we talked about. The adult
Sure.
male is off to your right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
He's
dominant one.
actually young. He's only about a year old.
Oh, wow.
His father we had for numerous years. He has moved on to fishy heaven. So,
Yeah.
but that is his son, and he's now taken over. Can you kind of see him?
Oh, yeah, we
there?
got him. He's another Charis fish, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then of course we've got younger ones in there because you want to try to keep enough fish in there to
Sure.
keep your aggression down, and then an adult female back in there. So.
All right, what do we got?
This is the adult colony of the Williams eye, the Pseudotropheus
Okay.
williams, the blue lip.
Yeah.
The male is the big guy back there in the corner. That's the kind of the solid ochre color.
Yeah.
And then of course the females there. You can see how they get their blue lip name.
Mm-hmm. The
And,
lipstick on.
Bigger fish, bigger Mabuna.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Probably about 6 inches with tail or so.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah.
probably one of the, not the biggest fish we have by no means, but one of the
Sure.
larger ones that are out here. So you wouldn't want too many unless you
Mhm.
had a bigger tank. But real
What
pretty.
do we have down here?
And then this is the southern Egyptian mouth brooders. The females are in here. Unfortunately, we do not have a dominant male at this time.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a new one growing out. And then also the butterfly cichlids are in there.
Yeah. You don't see people work with those very often.
They're kind of back there in the back
Yep.
doing their thing. But they seem to cohabitate pretty well. The butterfly cichlids are not really in the best parameters by being with the Egyptians. So for spawning, we would put them in their own tank and change their
Sure.
parameters a little bit. But for cohabitation, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, up top, the Gelitochromis.
T.
Transcriptus is
Gosh, I just totally blanked. I wanted to
Oh, you've
guess.
only rattled
Yeah.
off about 100 names so
Yeah.
far,
Yeah.
so.
So the Julies, Very, I love these. These are really personable fish. They're a lot like the Maltese. They come up when the tanks go off, and really cool. They
Breed them in a colony here.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And it'd be awesome if we had maybe more plants in there, but you know,
We'll get there.
it's
I don't like to buy.
he tries not to do too many plants. It makes it easier
Sure.
to work in. Keep the tanks clean
I agree with that.
if you don't have too much in there. But anyway, super fun fish.
Awesome. And down here.
And then this is a brevis. This is the Ruzaba. They probably look familiar to you, huh?
Yep. Yep.
And then again the PVCs. These pair breed as opposed to colony breed, so they will actually mate up, and they won't mix. They'll defend their spots.
All right. What do we got down low?
This is grow out for Cyprichromis and Calisa.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So you can see
There's a
we've
lot of them in there.
got a lot of the Calisa, and then different generations, of course. And then we always have plecos in every tank, so
Nice.
must have plecos. That pot of valve is going crazy. We need
Yeah.
to pull those starts off of there.
I'll make another pot out of those. Yeah.
That's one thing that grows well in our low
Mixed
lighting
tank.
conditions. This is
It's a mixed tank.
Victorians also.
Yeah.
This is the darker ones here. They're still not fully mature. They're just kind of coming into the color. This is another Pundamilia, but it's called a black widow. It's one that you also don't see very often.
Sure.
There's 3 males starting to show in there, and then some females. We also have 2 females, or trio and a male of the yellow belly Albert, which is
Okay.
the Estata tilapia, another Victorian. Also Cares fish.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this Pundamilia is on the Cares list or not.
Here.
Down on the bottom, we have another Cares fish. We have the Pseudotrophius seleuci. This is a younger colony, so the males are starting to turn blue. The females are yellow.
Yep.
We've had numerous of those. Like we get adult colonies, and then we keep some of the fry, sell the adults, and then anyway. So these are some of the ones we've kept. They're also in their house with the green woody. Is it
Green woody.
Is it Estata tilapia or Haplochromis?
You always
No, it's
say-
Neochromis. It's a Neochromis green woody. Sorry.
But yeah, that's a super nice.
He's a little pale right now, but when they're
breeding.
doing their thing, they're a black,
Yeah,
Sure.
Neochromis.
kind of a charcoal gray right now, but they become very black.
We got one, should be 2 and 2 in there.
Yeah.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, Neochromis greenwood. And they're looking good.
All right.
And this is our Maltese, ever popular favorite.
Yeah.
Nice community fish. They can actually spawn in a community environment. They don't pair breed. The females will pick their shells, males will run around, do what they do. There's so many different varieties of generations in here. We just, we leave them and let them do what they do. Camera probably doesn't pick it up, but they got yellow tinges on their fins and
Yeah.
real pretty blue eyes.
You got to see them in person to really fall in love
Yeah.
with these. It's the
And
behavior that sells them and makes you want to keep them.
Great behavior. You can have quite a few in a tank. Their colors pop better if you have more plants in there, which again we don't do because it makes it easier to keep the tank clean and
Sure.
get fish in and out if we need to. So, but a super popular fish. One of my favorites. A lot of fun.
Ooh, who's this guy down here?
He is Lividus.
Yep. Haplochromis levitus, Murchison Bay, which is where they were collected from. This is another species that was thought to no longer be in existence. They were brought back and then finally identified not too long ago as actually being a levitus. There's a lot of activity in there because there's a lot of males, but
There's only 3 boys in there.
you gotta
And I
kind
got
of
a holding female in there.
keep enough in the tank so that the males don't beat up the girls either.
Sure.
So you want to
You
keep,
can see none of their fins are tattered, so
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't like that aggression at all.
If you're gonna do it, don't just get 1 or 2. You want to get 6, 8 to 10, depending on the size of your
All
tank.
based
Sure.
on the size of the tank.
So that you can allow them to keep that high level activity focused on a variety of fish rather than 1 or 2.
What do we got up here? These guys have been waiting to hear about them because they look awesome.
Well, we'll have to get you the really good adults. I need to trash can when we go inside, this is a trio. The male is the big one there that you've got.
They're still young.
They're still young.
Laticeps.
These are F2s. They're Teniolethronops laticeps, which is an African type of earth eater. Beautiful fish. They're just haven't completely colored, so
Sure.
they kind of look.
We'll see the inside ones.
Yeah, but we'll see the bigger ones when we go inside. So very cool fish, very peaceful. I
Yeah.
mean, they
Good
will eat
community,
fish.
yeah.
They will eat fish that are smaller than they are, but they're
Sure.
not like your typical cichlid in the sense that they're just gonna beat up, attack, and kill all your other fish. We have swordtails in there with them with dithers. We do need some dithers in there.
Yeah, they don't bother nobody.
And they're fine as long as they're not. They don't look like food. They're good to go.
Yeah, those guys
So
are cool.
very cool fish.
What do we have up here?
And then this is the Haplochromis ruby green. The dominant
Okay, yeah.
male is off on the left. Someone begged us to sell our breeder, and we did it. It was the worst mistake of my life. But they really, really wanted it, so we did it. He was absolutely stunning. So this is his son,
Sure.
and probably one of the most colorful, I think, that
Yep.
are out there. And he's not even as dark as he should be.
Yeah, he's just,
Yeah.
Because of the activity that's going on.
Sure.
See, nobody's in here during the day. It's always empty.
Yeah. But anyway, great fish.
Yeah.
Good size for a 30-gallon tank.
Yeah, they don't get huge,
Right.
you know, but and I don't think they're as aggressive
They're not.
as some of the others. Like
Sure.
for example, the Levitis, the Pundamilia. Are they aggressive? Sure, they're still a cichlid, but they're not as severe as some of the others. So it's a nice intermediate cichlid
Yeah.
as far as size and aggression is concerned.
All right.
And
What
then
do
we
we
saw
got?
the Signatus
Yep.
here.
Signatus.
So we kind of been into that
Yep.
particular
What do we
tank.
have down low?
Down on the bottom one is another one that was thought to be
You'll
extinct.
have to get over the left-hand side.
Yeah, if you kind of slowly come to the left there, I don't know if you have enough light to even
These are
see
the
it.
most
yeah.
shy fish we got in here. They're
This
F0
this is
Levitis,
wild caught, brought back
Yeah.
as eggs. They were also finally identified in the last 6 months and known to be a Statotilapia brownie,
Mm-hmm.
another one which was thought to no longer be in existence.
Well, they're in existence here. You got
So-
fry, so.
and we do have, we have fry of both the Levitis and the brown egg. Yeah.
Awesome. And over here.
And then here we have another mixed tank. We've got the Lalubai, which are younger. They're not of breeding age yet. They kind of come in both the yellow and orange color variety. So, but super pretty,
Sure.
called a lemon cichlid. And then also then there we have the Harpogromus species gold duck.
Harpa gochromis.
Harpogochromis, sorry. Also fairly new to us in there. There's a male and some females.
Sure.
They're a little shy yet. They're still getting used to their environment.
Mm-hmm.
The male tends to hide in that left cichlid stone. Kind of their face looks a
Yeah,
little
it
bit
is.
like a duck's bill, so that's how they get their
Okay.
name. And the male is like a nice dark green, really pretty fish. We've got them in there with the little lubai to try to
Activity level. Get 'em up.
you know, get them to be less shy. They've learned now that when the air comes off, it's time to come eat. They come right
Sure.
up to the top and eat,
Yeah, they are
And,
super shy. Let's see what we got.
but they're shy as well.
Let's see if we can't get these little guys out. Because I've never seen them in the hobby. You won't find them in your pet stores.
Oh, he's
Here he
coming.
comes. He says, "Oh, power's off. Where's the
Time
food?"
to eat, yeah.
And you can see how nice dark color he
The
is.
left-hand side.
It's actually like a forest green, which you really probably camera isn't picking up. at this
Sure,
point,
sure.
But real pretty.
What do we got above here?
And then we don't have too many swordtails in here, but this is one of my favorites. It's super popular. It's the Showa, some people call them the koi swordtails, where they've got the white, the black, and
Sure.
the orange. So this is the adult breeding colony, lots of activity going in there. Some are smaller because we've thrown some in with white because we want to try to continue to perpetuate the white ones, not just
Sure.
the gold and the black, but some people like or the red and the black, but some people like just the red and the black. So it's really interesting. Everybody has their preference. We have a ton of fry of those growing up in the house in a 29 gallon, but this is
Ah.
the adult colony. And then there's some long fin green dragon plecos in there as well.
Yep. Kind of on top of the
That
pot
we do
there,
in
yeah.
there, yeah. And then this fry saver has got some of the little black Prince Goodeids in there.
Oh, okay.
We like to keep the younger fry in the fry savers. It's, first of all, it keeps them safe. Second of all, it allows for isolated feeding. Because
Okay.
if you have them in a tank that's got guppies and adults, they're never going to get any food. They're not going to have a chance.
Sure.
So by keeping them in these isolated containers, I can ensure that I grow them to the size and the strength that I want before we put them into a colony type environment. And that reduces our losses.
Awesome. Who we got up top
Probably not
here?
going to get them without the air coming off also. They tend to hang out at the bottom. We had a guest speaker come to the club. He brought
Those are
some of his
beautiful
fish.
fish.
They're
Okay.
super beautiful. They're still growing up, and these are the Salvinis.
Okay, yeah,
Which these are the Riavo, which are the ones that get the red,
yeah.
and
Super
they
bright red.
keep the red. We have 2 males that are emerging, coming out and starting to show their red,
Yeah.
but they
Just beautiful fish.
don't have a lot of light.
Yeah, it's you can just see the red starting to come in. Yep.
And if we had better lighting, they've got the iridescent blues on their sides.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they're younger. These are F1s,
Stand by for fry.
and we're just getting them up to growth size.
Sure.
And no doubt we'll probably have to separate those.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're not gonna live in there forever. That's
They're
for
not going to
sure.
stay in there forever.
Kill everything around them.
And we did have other fish in there, and they did okay, but you know,
They were younger too, so.
they were younger, and
Sure.
they're pretty quick about getting the food. So
Yeah.
if there's anything else in there with them, we were having a hard time feeding them because they're so aggressive with their eating
Mm-hmm.
that we were, you know, that's another thing you need to look at when you companion your tanks is how well
Yeah.
can you feed all of the species that are in the tank. And so we have them in there. There's plecos, of course, on the bottom, which we do for the algae control. But, I don't know if you want to call it overflow, mishmash tank, and then of course it's also our pet tank because
Yeah.
I think you guys both got your puffers
No,
roughly
he
the
got his
same
before
time,
mine.
didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I got Hank before or.
You got him at Conway also, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you were there at the time.
Yep.
And anyway, so this is Paco Nacho. I don't
Yeah,
know why
Faja
we came up
puffer.
with that name, but he's a Faja puffer. Oh, he's going to do a yawn for you. And we've got him in there with a variety. There's some Honduran red points in there. Sometimes if we have fish that need to be separated or we're not sure, like they pop out of a fry saver into a 20-gallon, and we go, gee, you don't belong in there, but we don't know what you are.
Yep.
Since we aren't confident what it is, we'll go ahead and put them in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just kind of a nice mishmash tank. There's a mated pair of Honduran red points in there. They spawn in there, have their fry.
Yep.
We
And then
use,
defend it forever.
and then they do. They defend it forever until we take them and give them to the Bolana socks.
Uh-huh.
And then of course Paco is, we're really lucky. He's pellet trained. He does eat
Oh yeah, he's good.
the Hikari massivore pellets. The ram's horn snails, which we do keep in a few very select tanks so that we can give him those.
In the center column here, they've also got their 35-gallon trash can full of Daphnia, which is just thriving, and this is indoors, so I'm gonna have them teach me some things on this because their Daphnia looks amazing. It's plentiful.
And he just mounted that can on casters on wheels, so it actually
Yep.
rolls. So
Yep.
it is movable. It's not.
Yeah, but they've got it figured out here. Mine crashed indoors. I think it was temperature issue, but they've got some tricks. So
We've got them. We've had them up to 87 degrees, and they do just fine.
wow, yeah. So I think I've taken them pretty warm, but I think mine shut down from being cold because like right now it's probably 40
Sure.
in the garage
Sure.
or something
Yeah, that's
because I'm
too
not
cool,
heating
yeah.
it. So yeah, but it's an awesome fish room, 300 square feet. How long is it?
30.
It's 30 by 10.
Yep.
So yeah, everyone kind of get, you can fit 28 40 breeders, or 24 40 breeders, 24 20s, some 10s. You got a 125. You got some stuff through the center.
It's still got room to work. You gotta have.
Yeah, they've
foot.
got plenty of room, and that's key there. A lot of people, they try and fit a 4th tank in or something like that, and they realize their life is hell.
You know, you got the short nets here, so you can work, and then
Anything less would be a pain in the butt. Wouldn't even enjoy
you
it.
have, you
Yep.
can get your long-handled nets, like for getting down into the 55s, and so that would make it
Sure.
a little bit tough. But if you're using your shorter ones, actually,
No, very well put
Bucket in there
together.
if they're littler, or-
you know, a lot of planning went into that, as I'm sure you well know when you did your planning.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, planning is really important to the
They didn't miss
process.
anything here. They got stuff going over cords, stuff like that. You know, a lot of people, it's a tripping hazard. There's water on the floor, stuff like that.
We didn't want all of the power cords and air to be coming from above and over.
Sure.
We
You'd be working around all that.
just dropped them down behind and over.
Yeah.
And then they
Notice
come
too,
up.
the racks on the bottom are on pressure treated, so.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We have come out
That's
here a
smart.
time or two and a tank is leaked, it's gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
The concrete allows everything to basically evaporate,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pressure treated wood, we were able to level on top of the pressure treated.
Uh-huh.
And then the gap that we have down there, you'll notice we've also used for additional storage.
Yeah.
Air parts, catappa leaves, bagged foods, pipettes, air parts, all that provides additional
Sure.
storage, so.
With no extra room required.
And this is just a little subdivision you've built in your garage.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it's a very airtight room. This thing is amazing, and I hope you guys can see that through the video.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please leave any feedback or questions down below. For any items featured in the video today, check out aquariumcoop.com.